Buongiorno. Cocksuckers.
Sopranos is often listed as one of the most influential TV shows. It pioneered the anti-hero leading character, which later influenced shows like Mad Men, Game of Thrones, and Breaking Bad.
I won.
Created by the visionary David Chase, the show dared to peel back the glamorous lifestyle often associated with the mob genre, revealing the brutal, often uncomfortable truths that lie beneath. But what were the ingredients that transformed The Sopranos from a mere television drama into a cultural phenomenon?
I've said it many times and I'll say it again, maybe the best thing about this has been working with this cast.
With the setting of the show being set in New Jersey, it opens a glimpse into the American-Italian heritage. We get to see the small, everyday details, from traditional Sunday dinners laden with pasta and red wine, all the way to the distinctive mannerisms, like the way of talking.
Oh, what are you doing?
The Italian phrases.
Madonna. What up?
And of course, the famous expressive hand gestures and tonality of speech. These are not mere stylistic choices, but a reflection of the characters' lived experiences.
Ah! Guess what, fucking mama's boy? You're taking off $4,000 to me every month.
And while the cast consists of many talented actors, one of them brought more authenticity than meets the eye.
I got no work either. I was born, grew up, spent a few years in the army, a few more in the can, and here I am, a half-a-wise guy. So what?
Born and raised in Brooklyn, Tony Sirico's background echoes the very world The Sopranos seeks to authentically portray.
He was a rough kid. He was out on the street scrapping with people and got himself in a lot of trouble over the years. But he was not a made man. He was around a lot of it, as most Italian Americans of that era would have been.
Around his early 20s is when Tony's criminal activity really kicked off. At the time, Sirico was a feared Manhattan nightclub shakedown artist associated with the Colombo family. He was known to deal speed, packed a loaded Beretta, and was once actually declared a danger to society by a New York judge.
I don't know. Fucking slanderous me.
His shakedown techniques involved throwing bouncers through windows, threatening to carve his initials on the owner's foreheads, and lastly, execution. In total, Sirico was arrested about 28 times, but only convicted twice, perhaps thanks to his great talent for acting. Eventually, he was sentenced to 13 months in 1967 for robbing a nightclub, and sentenced again for 4 years in 1971. The latest conviction was for felony weapons possession and extortion. However, Sirico only served 20 months of this sentence. It was during this specific prison stint that Sirico decided to give acting a try.
You know, Sirico, before he was acting, when he was in jail at one point, and there was a theater troupe called Theater of the Forgotten, and they'd go into jails. They went to where Sirico was, and there was an actor and an acting teacher and director out of the actor studio named Michael Gazzo, who's famous for playing Frankie Pantangeli.
Clemenza promised him nothing. He hated those son of a bitches more than I do.
And Tony met him, and then when he got out of jail, he looked him up and took his class, and that was his way in. And Michael Gazzo took Sirico under his wing and was his mentor, and Tony was grateful forever.
Quickly, Sirico's mannerisms, drawn from the lifetime spent in and around the fringes of organized crime, infused gangster characters with a realism that transcends traditional acting, starting with the authentic New York Italian way of speaking.
I got someone I gotta bring back fast.
Followed by the street-smart demeanor.
You're a real comedian, counselor. Let's see the cash if I break your face.
These were not mere performances, but a reflection of a life lived on the edge. Finally, after having worked with people like Woody Allen,
you got friends in the adult film business, right?
My nephew knows them all. Why?
Joe Pesci,
It's him. It's Milo. Give me that phone.
and of course Harvey Keitel, Sirico had enough acting experience for a bigger role.
What do you hear? What do you say?
And while originally Sirico read for the role of Uncle Junior,
The fuck?
David Chase decided to pick him up for the role of Paulie Gualtieri. During auditioning, Chase realized that in Sirico he had someone who could be both comic relief and a menacing figure. But how did Tony's real life influence the show?
The characteristics were him, certainly. David Chase, he is a keen observer of traits and personalities and would incorporate aspects of people's lives and then change them around. And I think there were things that I recognized that were parts of his life, and certainly his quirks, his fastidiousness.
Even if the lace is dry, and even if you don't touch the body of the shoe, bacteria and virus migrate from the sole up.
He was a bit of a hypochondriac, and that comes out in the thing.
Between the mercury and fish alone, it's a wonder there ain't more kids jumping off bridges.
He was a bit superstitious. I mean, for a hard guy, he was religious.
And that's what this is, Satanic black magic. Sick shit.
And a lot of these hand gestures were very much him. And the bada boom, bada bing, I mean, I heard that growing up, so.
Apart from these nuanced character traits, Tony may have also influenced the story arc itself. For starters, he's famously stated that he'd agree to play the role if Paulie wouldn't become a rat.
What? The wire, it's fucking Jimmy!
And while in a way that never happens, Paulie does end up betraying Tony Soprano by retelling Johnny Sack the infamous joke made about his wife. This of course leads to further tension between New Jersey and New York families. But the most important influence was probably Sirico's 1978 interview, which may have influenced his character's fate in the end of the show.
What are you frightened of?
Being alone, I guess.
When it comes to Paulie's ending in the show, that real-life fear of being alone becomes the reality his character has to face.
He loves you, Tone. You're all he's got. You, the guys, and his image.
Luckily, in real life, Sirico's fate was completely different. He had lots of family and friends around him. He also used his fame to elevate not only his close ones, but the less fortunate. From helping war veteran foundations to making generous donations to various charities, Tony truly changed for the better from his early days. And while the Sopranos character Paulie admits to not having an arc, Tony Sirico undoubtedly had an impressive one. Going from spending a few years in the can to becoming an actor that helped Sopranos change the landscape of modern television. Not a bad second act for half a wise guy.
When my time comes, tell me, will I stand up